Welcome to Everything Life Coaching. I'm John Kim.
And I'm Noelle Cordeaux. We are the founders of Lumia.
And we're super passionate about all things coaching, and we want to share what we've learned from over a decade of coaching and training thousands of life coaches.
Let's dive into the science and magic of coaching. Hey folks, welcome to Everything Life Coaching. Noelle here solo today to get into a really cool topic, which is career coaching in 2023, because this is a space where coaches are truly taking on the fear of the unknown and all of the different aspects that are flooding us this year and really going into the interplay of uncertainty, our identity, and who we are in our everyday life. So I want to tell you where this information comes from. It comes from the ICF, the Career Coaching Community Practice Seminar that I sat through, which is another great reason to become a member of the ICF, the International Coaching Federation, when you are a student of coaching or when you are a coach yourself, because you have access to really great events, seminars, networking opportunities that will educate you on all of the new frontiers that are evolving in the space of coaching. So, first up, as we're talking about career coaching, let's first take the opportunity to define it. So, what is career coaching? Any kind of coaching, any topic that is coachable, is always focused on the coaching client, not the problem. And this is true of career coaching. However, when somebody comes to the space of coaching to work with a career coach, the client or the organization typically comes to the table with a wish to focus very specifically on professional development. And this can be really intimidating for coaches who want to come into this space. I, for one, when I approached this topic, I've been coaching for over a decade and I'm very good at it. But I thought to myself, man, I don't really know anything about career coaching per se. Is this something that I could do? And when I took the time to learn about the ins and outs of career coaching, what I learned really surprised me. Career coaching does focus on professional development, but moreover, it really focuses on the identity and self-concept of the individual and all of their strengths, all of their virtues, all of their values, the way that they want to show up in the world, the way that they want to experience the world, the way that they want to create impact. And so I found that the concepts of career coaching are actually really closely aligned with what we do at Lumia, which is to teach an application of coaching that's really strongly grounded in person-centered, relationship theory, and applied positive psychology. In fact, positive psychology is one of the strongest theoretical underpinnings that we have as coaches to truly support people in the space of career coaching. How does it work? Let's get into it. So, first of all, in 2023, what do we need to know about the landscape of career coaching? It's weird out there. We're struggling, we're suffering, and people have always had a strange relationship with change. But right now, especially, it really seems to be changing, especially the relationship that people have with change and work and definitions of success. We had the Great Resignation. We had this idea of quiet quitting come to the fore. And I personally have known so many of our Lumia coaches who have quit their jobs, taken off, they've moved to Central America or Mexico, and they're changing it up. A lot of folks that I've talked to recently who are interested in becoming coaches have left careers in tech, left careers in sales, left careers in marketing, and they want to do it all over again. So we're seeing a shakeup and a shift that's driving the space of career coaching because people are more open to doing things differently. I even talked to an activist recently who's put in so many years of really good hard work creating impact in our time. And this was a woman who was interested in exploring coaching as a possible what's next. And she was currently working in the service industry and said how nice it was just to wake up, go to a job, clock out at the end of the day, and come back to the perspective of enjoying life, right? So this is where we really start to see the intersection of identity and positive psychology as a template to be able to lead us forward into the space of career coaching. Because whether we're coaching someone inside or outside of an organization, a career is very much entangled with personal identity. And at the outset, many times clients are unable to distinguish their identity that exists in their career and their identity that exists in their life. And so really starting out at the outset and thinking about applied positive psychology, well, what's going well? What are your strengths? What are your virtues? What are your values? What are the things that lights you up? That gives you the beginning entry point to help someone separate their possible identity from their real identity. Who are they on the inside? In coaching and at Lumia, we like to think of this as living from the inside out versus the outside in. And ultimately, that's the goal of career coaching, is to lead your client to a place where they themselves are able to identify what it feels like to live from the inside out versus the outside in. And that juxtaposition makes a lot of sense. Think about the world and how it works. When we go to a party or we're out somewhere, or even if we're at the grocery store and we meet a friend or an acquaintance or someone that doesn't know us well, one of the very first questions that most of us get is, what do you do? What do you do? One of our coaches has a fantastic answer for that question. I heard it asked of her once, and she said, I do fine. And I thought that was great. So here we are, sitting at this intersection of career, identity, value, virtue. What are some powerful questions that we can use as coaches to lead folks into this space? If we're thinking about orienting our lives, living from the inside out versus the outside in, and we want to make a change, and we want to explore all of the different ways that we might be able to live differently in this space of our career, a fantastic question to start with is, who will you be? Who will you be? And if the client isn't sure, this is a great space where we can turn to applied positive psychology to get into values, virtues, and strengths. So an assessment like the VIA character strengths assessment is a great application here. So is life design. Life design tells us that at any given time, there are 6 possible paths forward, and all of them are good. All of them are good. So if we're tying together this idea that there are many possible paths, they're all positive, and then we also have this setup of values and strengths that runs alongside of us. Another powerful question that we can use to really tie it all together is, for what? For what do you want to make this change? And that often for folks ties back to the space of purpose and meaning and experience of, what do I want to get out of my one unique, precious life while I have time on this earth. And ever since we collectively experienced the pandemic, many more people are beginning to ask that question of themselves, of their partners, of their families, of their friends. For what are we doing this? And really implicitly, fundamentally, in any coaching exchange, it comes down to behavior. So once we know for what do we want to do things differently, then it gets into the how. What are our behaviors that we need to change? What are we going to do differently in order to propel and move ourselves forward into the future? Circling back to career coaching, the space of not knowing is really central to working with someone in career. And This takes experience as a coach, because being able to really sit with somebody and hold that space in not knowing is profound. Clients often come to the table with a really heady set of fears around not knowing. But as coaches, we know that the space of not knowing is really fertile ground for discovery, because that's when we can pull back and say, okay, what else is there? What else exists? We have our problem set, we have our fear set, we have our concern set, but what else is there? What is generative, and how can we tap into that growth mindset in order to help move a client towards self-actualization, even answering a call to service, understanding one's place in the world, and above all, the application of our gifts. And for this reason, many folks who work in the space of career coaching use assessments, because it's really nice to be able to give a client a printout, a write-up, something tangible that they can hold in their hands as an anchor point to understand, well, these are my strengths. Well, these are my talents, because it's one thing to know it for yourself of, these are my strengths and talents. And it's another one to be validated by an assessment. So some common assessments that coaches use are DISC, Strengths Finder, Hogan, Corn Fairy, and my favorite, the VIA Character Strengths Assessment, which is based in applied positive psychology and really helps us gear towards strengths, accomplishments, and all of the different ways in which we can utilize our positive emotions and our virtues to notice what works and what's going well. So, how do we kind of thread this needle and walk someone over the bridge towards self-actualization in the space of career coaching? Well, future focus is of absolute paramount importance. And this is one of the spaces that tipped me off to the fact that you don't have to be an expert in career transition in order to be a really effective career coach, because working with future vision is something that all coaches know how to do. Future visioning typically takes place at the outset of a coaching agreement, and visualization itself is a really, really powerful tool. At Lumia, we teach the 5D coaching framework that comes from appreciative inquiry. We also teach the best possible future self, which is a coaching exercise based in positive psychology that emphasizes the client drilling down for 3 days in a row to think about what their life could be like if everything has gone as well as it possibly could. Now, let's pause there and examine how positive psychology works in concert with future visioning in terms of career coaching. So when I laid out the work of the best possible future self exercise, which comes to us from positive psychology expert Caroline Miller, the question at the outset is, what will your life be like if everything has gone as well as it possibly could? Notice how open-ended that question is. It is not closed. It is not, how will your life look when you are a lawyer? How will your life look when you are a teacher of second grade? No, it's, how will your life look when it has gone as well as it possibly could? And this really blows the doors off of a finite sense of identity to make room for conversation around, well, how do we even want to get into the space of future visioning using the characteristics of our values and the way that we want to set up and experience our life? Again, we're directing folks to consider living from the inside out versus the outside in. So, one of the challenges here is to help clients deal with that fear monster that comes up, because not having that finite answer of who am I going to be, when am I going to be, how am I going to do it, can really get in the way of looking for solutions that are based in the concepts of reframing, which asks the question, what else is there? So career coaches need to be able to acknowledge that we are in a complex time where there are diverging forces and focuses that pull the clients in different directions. And one of the things that we need to be able to facilitate within the coaching engagement is not only that heady, juicy future visioning, but it's also the space for the client to quiet themselves so that they can sort out all of this stuff that's in the world. And so, a very important but often unseen aspect of career coaching is that you want to help your clients consider what a wellness practice might look like for them so that they're able to engage in the work of quieting alongside of the work of coaching in order to support very natural and normal feelings of anxiety that come up alongside change. And it's also important for coaches who work in the space of career to get up to speed and begin to understand through asking direct and specific questions of their client what generational life stage differences they might be experiencing. So, for example, at the outset, folks who are part of a younger generation are going to have a very different set of concerns than folks who have moved into midlife and are dealing with family obligations alongside asking the questions of identity. Who am I? Who will I be? We're seeing in younger generations that social skill, communication, and conflict resolution are really up there in terms of the top things that folks find distressing in the space of experiencing career. And then as we move into midlife or even second, third, fourth career stages, folks have a more grounded sense of who they are. And that's when it's even more important to lean into those values, those strengths, those virtues to be used as a compass for experimentation of trying on all sorts of different pathways so that the client can find an application vis-a-vis their career that's in true alignment with who they are, how they want to experience life, and they can get a taste of what it's like to find that gorgeous alignment that happens when our reality intersects with the way that we feel inside, when we are truly living from the inside out. Right now, things are pretty topsy-turvy economically, politically, globally. There's a lot of grief in terms of the environment. All of this are pieces of life that we need to hold space for and actualize for our clients, because these big feelings, uncertainty, scarcity, grief, they're sitting there, but they don't actually give our clients any information about what they're capable of and what they can do in terms of their lives, their time, and creating impact. And so for that, we want to utilize the traditional technique of clearing and venting. This is pure coaching. It goes right back to ICF standards. We're just using it very specifically to hone in on the question of career. So, another piece that I love about career coaching that goes right into core traditional coaching is facilitating client growth. So looking at what tools and models really work for career coaching, it knocked my socks off to discover that once again, it was applied positive psychology, which is the cornerstone of what we do at Lumia. So if you're wondering, will Lumia prepare me to become a career coach? Yes, it will. So let's get into it. So positive psychology has an incredible array of tools through which coach and client can develop awareness of strengths and accomplishments. Again, I sincerely recognize the VIA strengths assessment. And using positive psychology can also turn action steps into really fun next steps. This creates joyful motivation and turns strengths into habits. Here, I'm thinking about an activity like creating a vision board of our experiences that we want to cultivate as we're considering what it might be like to live from the inside out. And of course, many career coaches say that happiness is one of the core tenets that people come looking for. There's a happiness course available to all through Yale, and career coaches universally say that this is a phenomenal resource to pass along to their clients, to get their clients into the habit and orientation of understanding how they can utilize positive emotion to propel themselves forward. And finally, one of the challenges that career coaches face is immediacy, which is this idea of I want it now versus the long and slow and steady cadence of true exploration through coaching, which requires insight, experimentation, and then insight once again. So here, positive psychology helps to make the exploration of strengths, virtues, and possibilities both accessible and functional, because there are so many exercises that can lend structure to a series of coaching sessions to take someone, truly along this path. So, what are career coaches saying? What do career coaches have to tell us about their work? Number one, people are affected by uncertainty. Making change is hard, and there are very high levels of anxiety right now. And so this is a phenomenal niche for coaches to consider getting into. Coaches who are successful in the space of career have gotten really good at helping people get comfortable with discomfort, being okay with multiple paths. And again, this is a place where both life design and positive psychology can really support, because there are resources, theories, documentation, assessments that give you more of a credible space and voice in your client's head with, is this really real? Can I learn? Can I work from the inside out? The answer is yes. And here's an assessment to validate all of our findings. Younger generations, especially, are experiencing really high levels of anxiety about the future. And a piece that we have to consider, and what career coaches are telling us, is that social media is a huge driver in helping people to feel poorly about themselves in terms of the social expectations and measuring up. So that's one of the things that if you're working as a career coach, you might want to look at and do a social media audit with your clients. And this comes down to the very basic coaching technique of empathy mapping, really getting in there with your clients. If your clients are experiencing high levels of fear and anxiety, as a coach, you want to understand, okay, what is this client seeing on a daily basis? What are they hearing? What are they saying and doing? And really kind of get that audit. How much time are they spending engaging, and what are they engaging with? Because this will help both coach and client create a roadmap of where they need to go in order to turn that dial back towards authentic strengths and values. And of course, coaches have to be present. This is one of the things that truly aids career coaching, because we're dealing with that identity work, that fear, that uncertainty. And so when you can show up for someone and hold it down, they will vibe off of you and take some of that presence for themselves. And again, be able to get into that space of quiet. If this sounds good to you, career coaching is a space that we need more good coaches to work in. A lot of folks need help with transitions of all sorts right now, and this is truly one of them. And so if you need some support, and if you'd like to learn a little bit more about how to have these conversations with your friends, your family, your clients, people in your world, come see us at Lumia. We'd be happy to share all of these techniques, tips, and tools of the trade with you. Thanks so much and have a great day. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to Everything Life Coaching. If you're feeling the draw to become a coach, head to lumiacoaching.com/everything. Explore a new career that brings fulfillment, gives you a true sense of purpose and a bold community to do it with.
Lumia is ready to equip you with the tools, training, and community you will need to reach your goals. If you're ready to build a unique coaching business on your own terms while making an impact on the world at large, Lumia is the next bold step in your coaching journey. That's lumiacoaching.com/everything.
And hey, if you're waiting for a sign, this is it.